Technology is great, except when it isn't. And in fact, the theme of this talk is that technology is very much a two-edged sword. And it can be used for great good, and it can also be used for criminal purposes. And so the purpose of this talk is to try and give you some information on the kinds of criminal things that are going out there, particularly the ones that are targeting us seniors. And I call this the Christmas edition because this time of year, it's well known that we're spending money, and various people would like to get some of it. So I want to talk about what's going on with scams and seniors, give you a fundamental rule, which you will find perhaps personally a little distressing, given that we were all raised in a kinder and gentler time than this. Some basic protection mechanisms for you and your computer. Then I'm going to go through the most common scams that target seniors in particular, and how to detect them and avoid them. Finally, some notes on what happens if you do become a victim and what you can do about it. So we have a big target on us. The FBI thinks that seniors are getting scammed out of $3 billion a year. And some authorities think that's a real lowball estimate. And why are we being targeted? Well, we have money. Not all of us, but the baby boomer generation has a lot of money. And we are more trusting, by and large, than youngsters, because we were raised in much simpler times. By and large, seniors are not as computer savvy, and we may also be relying on others for day-to-day help. So here's the fundamental rule. It's as simple as can be. And if you're my age, you recognize where this came from, which is the 1970s broadcast of I, Claudius. And in this still, Agrippa is telling his old friend Claudius, trust no one, my friend, trust no one. Derek Jacobi. Yeah. And of course, as it turns out, if you remember the show, not even Agrippa was trustworthy. So, in other words, you need to treat everything that comes across your computer screen as guilty until proven innocent. Every email or text, every phone call, every internet advertisement, they are guilty until they are proved innocent. And you're going to have to exercise your skills as a detective to separate the sheep from the goats when you see these things. Now, the variety of scams is just endless. And these are merely the more common ones. A complete list would probably run for pages. And I want to talk about them. Phishing scams, fake invoice scams, computer tech support scams, sweepstakes and lottery prize scams, romance scams, blackmail scams, government imposter scams, grandchild imposter scams, fake charity scams, and then the last one, which I'll spend a little time on, is on scams around elder abuse. So let's start with basic computer protection. And if you've come to any of my talks in the past, this is going to sound very familiar, because it is very familiar. First, make sure you have anti-malware software on your computer, antivirus. It's built in on Windows, but you need it on a Mac. Don't let anyone, including your children, tell you that Macs don't need antivirus software. They do. Make sure you have an ad blocker installed in every browser you use. And if your browser doesn't have an ad blocker, switch to a different browser, because ads are one of the leading ways that scams get introduced into your computer. Don't run software that's out of support. Seems simple enough, but I am amazed by the number of people I find who are still running Windows 7 or Windows 8, which by the way goes out of support next month, or versions of Mac OS that are no longer supported. Basically, if you're running anything older than Big Sur on Mac OS, it's out of support and it's vulnerable. Keep your software and hardware up to date, and use strong passwords. Make sure they're unique to every site. Use a password manager if you can't remember them. I can't remember them, so I use a password manager. These are all very common sense. But there's a physical side of this that I only became aware of in the last couple of months. And that is, if you have old cell phones and laptops lying around, get rid of them. Now, why is that? All of these devices, like, we all have one of these, they have a lithium-ion rechargeable battery in them. As these batteries age, they can swell up and they can fail. And in the worst case, they can explode. It's particularly likely to happen if you let the device just go out of service. You throw it in the drawer, you let the battery run down, you're asking for trouble. So please get rid of them. Staples will take them back. If you need help clearing the data off to make sure there's nothing, that none of your data escapes, the Council on Aging can help you with that. Another thing is, don't use your old router indefinitely. Routers only receive security fixes for a year after you fix them. After 3 years, they are basically welcome mats for hackers. So replace your router every 3 years or so. When you're on the phone, we have to undo a lot of the habits that we learned as children about being polite. Do not answer with a lot of personal information. Just stick with hello or yes, because the longer your answer, the greater the likelihood that your voice can be captured and then used, faked. Making audio fakes is easy these days. It's even becoming easy to make video fakes. If the call is a taped message, hang up immediately. The only exception would be if it's a reverse 911 call from the town saying, there's an electrical failure or a water main leak or something. And if there is a noticeable delay from the time you answer before someone comes on the line, and you hear like a brrr click, that's an indication that the call is coming from overseas. And of course, if the person on the other end has a noticeable foreign accent, but claims to be from Medicare or something like that, it's a scam. The cardinal rule about the phone is never, ever give personal or financial information to a caller you don't know. Trust no one. So let's talk about what's going on the computers these days. And gave you some hints for how to make your computer secure. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to computer security, we are the weak link, not the computer. Breaking into a computer that is up to date is actually very hard. Breaking into our lives through deception is unfortunately very easy. So the first one that we are probably familiar with are what are called phishing scams. And these are email messages that are forged to look like real messages from companies you do business with. They may seem to come from Amazon or Comcast. They direct you to a fake website that looks real and ask you to enter your name and password. When you log into this phony Google or Comcast or whoever, your username and password are stolen. If you think there's a problem, don't respond to the message. go to the company's website or call them. See if there really is a problem. Invariably, there is not. Phishing schemes involving Comcast have been the most common scam against local elders, with dozens of victims every year. So you need to be very careful about email that looks official. And here's an actual example that I received. It claims that I've exceeded the maximum number of attempts on my password, and so we've disabled your ID. Click here to unlock. The giveaway is that when you look at what this link is, it is not a Comcast link, but what is called an anonymous redirect, meaning it's going to take you somewhere that you don't know. So, how do you detect phishing scams? The simplest way is legitimate businesses don't send you requests to verify your credentials. They don't do this. Comcast doesn't do it. Google doesn't do it. Amazon doesn't do it. Fidelity doesn't do it. Bank of America doesn't do it. If there is a problem, they will send you a message saying there is a problem, call your local support number. And they won't tell you what the support number is. They'll make you look it up so that you know it is legitimate. So the simple answer on phishing is real companies don't send you messages like this. Fake invoice scams. This is another one. And one of my neighbors fell for one and ended up basically being out thousands of dollars. So an email arrives claiming that a large purchase has been charged to your credit card, or that you owe money on a purchase, or that you've authorized a large electronic payment via Zelle or Venmo. They're often from a security company like Norton or McAfee, or appear to be, or from an online retailer you're likely to have used, like Amazon or Walmart. And this email or text includes an 800 number to call or link to click and discuss and dispute the purchase. The person at the other end will attempt to get your credit card information for a refund, actually to use your credit card to make purchases for themselves. So here's another example. Someone came to me. It's supposedly an invoice from McAfee, but in the fine print on where it's from pay members at zero-mail.com. It's not from McAfee. It has really terrible grammar and spelling. Like, we thank you for the completion of your 1 year. Now,
what does that mean?
That's a good question. And then there are the two giveaways. There's an 800 number to call, and there is no mention of which credit card I actually was supposedly using. And then just to cap it all, this particular one has an address for, quote, McAfee, 1 Microsoft Way, Redmond, Washington, which is, of course, the address of Microsoft. So it's easily seen to be a scam. And you can detect these invoice scams by their grammar, spelling, or punctuation, the lack of detail about the transaction. If there's a link to click on, you should never click on a link in a text message or an email. There's an 800 number to call. You should never call an 800 number from an email. Instead, go online and check your account. If it claims to be from Amazon, look at your Amazon order history. See if there's anything there. 999 times out of 1,000, there will be nothing. Customer support scams. This one is also very sad, and I just had another neighbor fall victim to it. So you get a full screen message saying your computer has crashed and the world has ended. It may appear every time the system starts up, and it includes an 800 number to call for support. The hacker at the other end is going to install remote control software to fix your computer. And with that remote control software, the hacker will ransack your computer for sensitive information, install malware, and by the way, also bill you for the service. It's truly terrible. So here's another example. Looks very realistic. It says, your computer has been locked. Call Microsoft support. It's got all the right logos. Again, the giveaway are easy. First of all, this probably happened when you were browsing the web. And that means it's a malicious advertisement. Advertisements can look like anything. They can take up all the screen real estate. That's why I keep saying always install an ad blocker in your browser. Because websites that depend on advertising, which is all of them, just about, typically don't screen their own ads. They sell a block of space to a third-party broker. And that broker then just sells the ad space to whoever can pay for it. Another way of detecting that, in fact, this is a scam, is that you still have control of your system. So for those of you who have a PC, you may be familiar with what's called the three-finger salute, which is Control, Alt, Delete. It brings up a screen that allows you to do various things, like bring up the task manager, change your password. If you can get to that screen, your PC is fine and what you're viewing is an advertisement. On the Mac, try Command Q to quit the application. And again, if the application quits and you get your machine back, it was a scam. But never call an 800 number on a crash notice. If a real Microsoft crash notice says nothing about who you can call, it says, we're sending information to Microsoft to diagnose this. If you have concerns, please call Microsoft support. No number is given. You would have to look it up. So after you get out from this, restart your system. The problem should go away. If it does not, you may have a virus infection, and you may, at that point, you should call for professional help or contact the COA. This is an oldie but goodie, the financial swap scam. I thought this had gone out of business. You may remember, in the early days of scamming, you got these mail messages from princes in Nigeria and so forth saying, I need to get this money out, and all you have to do is give me a small help, and you can keep an enormous piece of the puzzle. And you will receive your money as soon as you wire transfer a sum to cover taxes or costs. And you get a check. And that check looks genuine. It may even appear to be certified. The check isn't genuine. And in the meantime, the scammer has your money. Now, a more modern variant that I've run into is that you want to sell something on the web. So you're using Craigslist or any of the numerous sites that let you place classified ads. And then the buyer sends you a check that is too large and asks you to repay the excess via a wire transfer. Your payment will be genuine. The check is not. And here's an absolute true example straight out of my hometown, Carlisle. A friend was selling a car via private sale, and was asking $26,000. It was a nice car. And he got an offer and received this check with a request for refunding of the excess sum. The check looks absolutely genuine, because it is, but it was stolen. One key clue was Why is a bookstore in Canandaigua, New York, buying a family sedan? And why is it made out to an amount that is too high? The issue is that it takes a long time for checks to clear, up to a week. You send a wire transfer, the money is gone immediately. All of these scams depend upon the fact that paper takes a long time to process. And wire transfers and Zelle payments and things like that occur instantaneously. You have to fall back on what our parents taught us when we were all knee-high to a grasshopper. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Another giveaway is that the buyer or the seller is asking for repayment in anonymous and untraceable transfers. So if they're asking for the money to be sent to them as gift cards or a wire transfer or cryptocurrency, it's a scam, or worse yet, it's money laundering. This is getting pretty scary, isn't it? Here's one that is actually particularly targeted at seniors. And it's the romance scam. This is the single most expensive scam for a senior, according to the FTC. And the scammer creates a fake profile page on Facebook or a dating site like Match or one of the websites that specializes in connecting seniors. And they start an internet correspondence. And then they start requesting gift cards or money for them or their children or for medical emergencies. You really have to be careful about anybody who claims that they're overseas, they're in the military, they're part of a non-governmental organization. Don't send money to someone you've never met. End of story. Now there's another variant on this called what I'll call the friendship scam. And you receive an email from a friend saying, I need a favor, or do you have an Amazon account? The fact is your friend's email account has been hacked and taken over. If you answer, the hacker will say that he or she needs a gift card for a niece, a grandchild, some unspecified emergency, but is not in a position to buy them. The hacker will ask you to buy them and send the gift card numbers. The hacker pockets the money and vanishes. This scam was so common last year that the entire town of Carlisle was sensitized to the fact that if they got a message like this, what you did is not respond. You called your friend and said, you've been hacked. And it was all a result of the friend falling for a Comcast phishing scam.
Oh, so that's how they got the name of this friend. So it would actually give the friend's name.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't sent by the friend.
No.
We were actually getting them here at the COA
right.
from seniors.
You can take...
It wasn't from
No, it
the
wasn't from seniors.
No, if you get the credentials to the Comcast account, you can take over the email account and redirect all the traffic somewhere else. So you see everything that's coming to the senior, and you can create forged emails that look like they're coming from the senior.
I received one of these about 2 weeks ago. I never called the person because I recognized it as very likely a scam. It was from my physical therapist.
Right.
Should I call her, or do you think by now she's going to know?
If you haven't seen another message of that type, then she knows. I mean,
Yeah,
I think this is well enough known that people just say, oh God, I'll call my friend, tell him this has happened. But again, it took about a year to be able to pin this on Comcast phishing scams, because seniors didn't necessarily remember that a couple of weeks before they had answered a phishing email. Finally, I found a couple of seniors who said, you know, I wonder if this is related to that. And after that, it was easy. Here's a really gross one. Blackmail scams. You receive an email that seems to come from your own account, and the sender claims to be in total control of your PC. The sender claims to have spied on you via your own webcam and to have incriminating video of you doing nefarious things. Who knows? And either send money or the video will be sent to your friends. It's all bullshit. The to and from addresses are forged to make it look like the mail comes from your own account. They come from random places. All emails are guilty until proven innocent. On the other hand, would it really hurt if you put some tape over your webcam? Probably not. So let's turn to our old friend, the telephone. The problem is that the FCC says that more than half the calls you receive are going to be either spam or scams. This is because that the phone system was designed with no security, none. Because at the time it was designed, it was all owned by one company. They didn't need security, it was just them. Further, the internet has reduced the cost of an international phone call to essentially zero. So if you're a scammer and you want to call 1 million people in the United States from a call center in Southeast Asia, your expenses are negligible. Caller ID does not work all the time, and it can be faked, and filter services don't work 100% of the time either. So one of the more common ones, and I think we've all had these, is we get calls from people purporting to be from the government. They may claim to be from IRS, from Medicare, Social Security, the FBI, US Marshals, you know, the UFO Bureau, whoever. And the caller claims you owe money or that more information is needed to resolve a claim, and they may threaten you with arrest or something if you don't respond. The caller asks for personal information, such as your Medicare or Social Security number. And the fact of the matter is, government agencies will never call you like that. Never. All government agencies do their work via US mail. Now, you may get a fake letter in the mail, but phone calls have to be fake. It just doesn't work that way. If you have any doubt, look up the public number for the agency and call them. They'll talk to you. Another one that is...
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I've gotten, on my cell phone, I get text messages from time to time, like maybe once a week saying, hi, fancy a game of golf, or hi, thanks for looking after the dog, or this, that, or the other. Are those likely just wrong numbers, or are they somebody trying to lure me?
Well, all texts are considered guilty until innocent, proved innocent.
Yeah.
So if you...
I mean, I always block them, you know.
Yeah. If you don't recognize the number, if the number is not in your contacts directory, the odds are it's spam. So here's another scam that, again, takes aim at our best instincts as human beings. And these are grandchild imposter scams. You get a call from someone who claims to be a distraught grandchild that's in need of ransoming, bail, or rehab. Hey, Grandpa, I'm in, Orlando for spring break, and I got arrested for this, that, or the other thing. Send me some bail money. With forged voices using artificial intelligence technology, these calls can sound exceedingly real. So if you receive one of these, apply common sense. I got one, claimed to be my grandchild had been arrested and needed bail money. And I said, you know, my grandchild is 6. I don't think so. In any case, no matter the circumstances, simply call your children, the parents, and verify what's going on. It's almost assuredly not real.
It happened to my sister. The scam sent an email to my sister saying, my other sister is traveling and in trouble. You have to send her money. And so my sister Lena received the scam email, and he said, oh, your sister Anna in overseas traveling and in trouble. Please roll the money to this account, you know, to save your sister, you know, in trouble. Thank God somehow I don't know, somebody tell my sister Lena said, Anna's still in US, not traveling. She almost sent the money.
Yep.
So scared.
These people are ruthless, and they have no ethics or morals, and they will take advantage of situations like that where we may have loved ones who are in the path of danger. You must verify. Every email, every text message is guilty until proved innocent. Here's another one that's been coming to me lately. These are fake charity scams. The caller claims to be raising money for a worthwhile cause, whether it's wounded veterans or the local police. And they try to get a pledge plus credit card information to back that pledge. Never, ever give credit card information over the phone to a stranger. Instead, get the name of the charity and a callback number, or ask that the information be mailed to you. Then you can go online to a reputable site like Charity Navigator and see if it's real. Because a lot of them aren't. Some of them aren't. There was a charity raising money allegedly for wounded veterans, and it turned out that 90% of the funds raised went to the founders. It's really, really disgusting. One last scam I have to mention, because we are all seniors. And this is financial abuse of the elderly. Seniors who have entrusted their finances or daily lives to helpers are extraordinarily vulnerable to abuse. And we all see the headlines, you know, this caregiver stole personal property. That's not the issue. 90% of these cases involve a family member or a trusted friend. These trusted individuals try to gain control of a senior's money, assets, and credit. And because they're after the money, they may withhold needed care. If the senior has a disability or is cognitively impaired, if the common scourge of dementia is setting in, the risks go up much, much more. So how can you prevent falling victim to elder financial abuse? One thing is try and simplify your finances so that there are fewer things to keep track of. When my elder sister, went into assisted living, her son and I systematically went through her finances, and we consolidated all her accounts to one financial institution. We got rid of a whole bunch of extraneous credit cards. We put everything that could be automatically billed onto automatic billing. And as a result, it's possible for her to check her situation by going no more than 1 or 2 places. You should also have checks and balances. It works for government, it works for us. So if you've given your power of attorney to someone, you might want to designate a different person to be notified by your financial institutions of questionable activity. You can use a service to track your investments and accounts, and make sure multiple people check in with you on an absolutely regular basis. Isolation is the greatest enemy seniors have. If you need a caregiver, hire through a bonded agency, or go to a vetted assisted living or memory care facility. This is a tough one. Now, with the best will in the world, you may not be able to avoid getting scammed. If you are victimized, it's really important to report it. The data says that seniors will readily report scams where they don't lose money, but are much more reluctant to report scams where they did lose money. So regardless, notify your local police. If you actually did lose money, you may want to notify some other agencies like the FBI, the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, or the Federal Trade Commission. If you think you've been hacked, get help from the COA or from an IT professional. And strengthen the controls on your online presence. Stronger passwords, enabling two-factor authentication, turning on fraud alerts at your financial institutions, and setting up credit monitoring or credit freeze. I received free credit monitoring as a result of the Experian hack, if you remember that. And I watch it with interest. Nothing is turned up, fortunately, but boy, they do a good job of trying to see if my name is showing up on places it shouldn't, or my phone number, or my address. I find it very interesting. So my summary is very simple. Scammers want you. Actually, they want your cash, but they want you. They know things about you already. If you're a senior, you have Medicare. That's pretty easy. If you're online, you probably use Amazon. And if you're online in this area, you're probably on Comcast. If you like social media and use it, they can get more information about you from your social media presence. If you have a Facebook page, they can learn the names of your grandchildren or get pictures of you or your dogs. And the scammers are just endlessly inventive. So remember, emails, texts, web pages, phone calls, advertisements are guilty until proved innocent. You're the only one who can save yourself from scams. The controls that are out there from the government or whoever are simply not good enough. Trust no one, my friend, no one. Don't accept attachment applications, links, advertisements, calls, or apples from strangers. This is how the scammers get through. Snow White wasn't poisoned forcibly. She accepted the poisoned apple. Don't you do it. So that's the end of my talk, and I'll certainly be happy to take questions. And I want to thank all of you for listening, and I want to say have a happy, safe holiday season. Keep yourself warm and secure. And let's see, would I have one last thing? Yeah, stay away from cryptocurrencies. That's probably my last one.